Welcome to the John and Heidi Show podcast.
John and Heidi.
Here's John and Heidi.
Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Monday. Hey, baby, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Coming up later in the program, I'm going to be visiting with R.M.A. Spears, author of the book Armor of Glass. That's coming up later in the show. Kind of excited to chat with them. I've got a quote for today as well. I think you're going to like this. It says, "I don't lose any sleep at night over the potential for failure. I cannot even spell the word." James Mattis. I think that's pretty cool.
Love Mattis.
That's cool. Hey, when trying to find something that's lost, about 30% of us give up after a week.
Okay.
How long do you look for something that's lost?
I really don't.
You don't look? You're like, whatever. I lost my debit card. I finally went to the bank and said, I better cancel that. She's like, oh, did you lose it? I was like, yeah, like a week and a half ago. And she looked very concerned. I was like, I have no money in here, so I wasn't too worried. Recently, I had $13, I think, is what I have in there. Recently, more Canadian companies are making the shift to a 4-day work week. So there's a lot of people that are going, let's just work 4 days instead of...
I think that would be lovely.
That'd be all right. The FDA reports that meat from cloned animals is perfectly safe to eat. It's according to the FDA. So there you go. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
Today is a special day, Heidi. Do you know what today is?
What is today, John?
Thought you'd never ask. It is Monday, March the 27th. Today is Celebrate Exchange Day. What does that mean?
I don't know.
Celebrate Exchange Day. That doesn't really make sense to me. Like, exchange what?
I don't know.
We're going to celebrate exchange today, but I don't know how. It is also Mule Day. Do you want to exchange mules? Do you think that would help? No. And it is Quirky Country Music Song Titles Day.
Yeah.
So there you go. All of those quirky country music song titles. Today is a day to celebrate those. I wonder who came up with that one. Think it was a radio DJ? Probably. I'm assuming
I
so.
really don't know.
No comment from Heidi. All right. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Monday.
John and Heidi.
Hey, it's John and Heidi. Join us for 80s in the Sand, a week-long 80s event this November 11th through the 18th in beautiful Punta Cana in the Dominican Republic.
Meet and listen to 80s bands like Loverboy, Starship, Howard Jones, and many more.
Plus, meet 80s icons from the movies like Anthony Michael Hall, Andrew McCarthy, and several others.
Get all the details at 80sinthesand.com.
Use promo code RADIO to get a $200 immediate refund per person.
Book your week-long 80s vacation now at 80sinthesand.com.
You know it's true because you heard it on the radio. A UPS delivery driver's life was saved after an auto accident due to the cargo he was carrying in his truck. Listen to this. After a UPS driver was involved in a crash on an icy road, and this was in Keene, New Hampshire, he was rushed to the hospital with a head injury. Unfortunately, when they got him to the medical center, it was discovered that the machine used to do the necessary test was broken. Although the parts were on order, sure enough, after checking the status of the order, hospital personnel discovered that the parts needed to fix the machine had been shipped via UPS, and they were on the very truck that was crashed, and the required UPS guy to be in the hospital needed the test. The parts were retrieved after another UPS driver was able to get them off the vehicle. And the driver is recovering nicely, by the way. So how crazy is that?
That is crazy.
So the machine that they needed to fix the guy was broken. The part that was needed to fix the broken machine was in the truck that he crashed.
Yeah.
So that is just nuts when you think about it. What are you laughing about?
You got your chocolate in my peanut butter.
No, you got your
peanut butter in my chocolate.
Is that what why did you think of that?
Because the two trucks that hit each other,
It doesn't take much to amuse her some days. Anyway, this had nothing to do with peanut butter and chocolate. Had everything to do with the dude that got hurt, and the machine that he needed to fix himself to get fixed was on the truck
other truck that he hit. See,
anyway.
That's why.
All right. Well, you know it's true because you heard it on the radio.
John and Heidi.
The John and Heidi Show is brought to you in part by the Keystone Treatment Center.
This is your brain, and this is your brain on drugs. We share silly stories here on the program, but addiction is no joke. If you or someone you know suffers with an addiction to drugs or alcohol, make today the day you seek help.
Call toll-free 844-204-1055.
That's a toll-free number. Again,
844-204-1055.
and this is your brain on drugs. A Florida man who said he was shocked by 13,000 volts of electricity after climbing up on a transformer in a, quote, drunken stupor, has tried to sue 6 bars and stores that sold him alcohol. Yeah.
Good luck.
O'Rourke, also named Tampa Electric as a defendant in the lawsuit. He said the utility did not do enough to prevent him from slipping onto the fenced gate and locked substation. So, you know, they only put up a fence and locked it. And scaling the electrical transformer, O'Rourke was thrown more than 40 feet from the transformer, burned over 60% of his body, leaving him with a permanent immobility in his right arm and severe scarring. According to the lawsuit, he is, quote, unable to control his urge to drink alcoholic beverages, end quote. And that the bars and the stores negligently served him and sold him alcohol despite his continual consumption. So
Sorry. No. Yeah. Nobody's fault but your own, dude.
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
And he climbed a 40-foot pole and got
Idiot.
zapped with electricity, and it's everybody else's fault. So, yeah, good luck with that one.
John and Heidi.
Now your moment of duh. Clifford Miles from Thunder Bay, Ontario, Canada, decided to give police officers an exciting chase. He was being pulled over for erratic driving. Instead of stopping, he drove into a grocery store parking lot. Then he slammed into several shopping carts. Not being able to beat the cops and the shopping carts, Clifford jumped out of the car and made a break for it on foot. It was a Wednesday, and apparently Wednesdays are when he gets his haircut. So he stepped into a nearby salon for a quick trim. We're talking genius here. Chased by the cops, overcome by shopping carts, Clifford stopped for a haircut. At least his hair looked good in the photo that they were taking when he was getting booked at the police station. So, there you go. That's not a very smart thing to do.
No.
None of the things he did were smart things to do. Coming up, we've got your scoop of the day. That is on the way.
The Scoop of the Day is brought to you by Wells Blue Bunny. If you want delicious ice cream, be sure to look for the Blue Bunny. Sure to have your favorite flavors. Learn more at bluebunny.com.
Now your scoop of the day. A 14-year-old boy in Denmark, armed with nothing more than a metal detector, found a crashed German aircraft on his family farm this week.
Whoa.
The remains of the pilot were still inside the vehicle. How crazy is that? Identical twins in New York were named their high school valedictorian and salutatorian. How do you say that? Salutatorian?
I have no idea.
Anyway, I've heard valedictorian. I've not heard the other one. Salutatorian. Anyway, they're identical twins, and I wonder who got chosen for which. How did they pick that?
I don't know.
Police in China detained a man for threatening to kill his ex-girlfriend and her family after he dressed as a suicide bomber by strapping himself with sausages. The suspect threatened to blow himself up with the entire family outside of their home unless his girlfriend came out to talk.
Yeah, that's lovely.
Yeah.
He's a fine, upstanding young man.
I don't know why she broke up with him.
Yeah.
In Springfield, Missouri, 19-year-old Victoria Vanner allegedly allowed her intoxicated boyfriend to cut her arm and drink her blood.
What?
While they were discussing vampires.
Oh, my gosh.
But then they got into an argument, and she reportedly stabbed him. And she pled not guilty to charges of first-degree domestic assault and armed criminal action. She claimed he repeatedly hit her during the argument, and she finally stabbed him in the back and the shoulder in self-defense. Officers responding to the 911 call said they found the bloodied couple with a heart drawn in blood on the living room floor, on the living room wall, rather, and "I'm sorry" scrawled in blood along another heart on the kitchen counter. On the boyfriend's bare chest, was a symbol of a cross that also appeared to be drawn in blood. Vanetter told investigators she routinely cut herself so she could drink her own blood and believed she could become a serial killer. Her boyfriend refused to cooperate with police and insisted his knife wounds were self-inflicted. She didn't do it. No, I did that. I stabbed myself in the back. That was so easy to do. What is going on in that household? That is quite a scary story right there. Is that bizarre?
That's very bizarre.
Not often that I'm speechless, but let's just move on. A federal judge last week dismissed a lawsuit that was accusing Cher of using a typeface created by a Brooklyn, New York graphic designer for a 2013 album Closer to the Truth without their permission. So apparently she didn't, because the judge dismissed the lawsuit. I don't know what happened there. Well, the average American household gets 189 channels. Guess how many they watch, Heidi?
I don't know, 6.
17.
Oh,
So that's
not in our house.
Yeah, we watch way fewer than that. In fact, it seems like the 17 channels is really about the limit. About a decade ago, when the typical American household got 129 channels, 60 fewer than today, they were still watching just 17. So 17 is apparently the lucky number when it comes to channels. It may seem superficial, but buyers of used automobiles do care just as much about the car's color as its condition. So if you're buying a new car now with the idea of selling it in 5 years or whatever, buy a silver-colored car, they say. That's the word from Kelley Blue Book, which says that color plays a role in a residual value of your car. And that means a lot of popular colors increase the value of your car, while unpopular colors decrease it by hundreds or thousands of dollars, depending on the vehicle. The best car colors for resale, Heidi, what do you think they are?
Black, red, white, silver.
Well, let's see. Silver, you got that right. White, you got that right. Black, you got that right. And then gray, you said red.
Silver and gray, aren't they kind of the same?
No, they're two different colors.
No.
The worst for resale value, what do you think, Heidi?
Tan
No,
or brown.
no.
Whatever.
Bright yellow, orange.
Oh, whatever. I
and
disagree
purple.
with that completely.
You like
bright
the
yellow, I
She likes
love.
those.
I would take any bright yellow vehicle
She would.
every
I
day
could
over
see
any
Heidi
other
driving
vehicle.
a taxi around. She's into that. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Monday.
John and Heidi.
Radio advertising works. When it's done right, it works even better. There are many things you can do to get a better response, and shouting sale really isn't the best thing, believe it or not. Did you know that when you put words to music, they're 9 times more memorable? If you're trying to get people to remember your company, consider a jingle. We work with one of the very best jingle companies in the business, and we'd love to use music to help you grow your company. Learn more and hear examples at RadioReallyWorks.com. That's RadioReallyWorks.com.
John and Heidi.
Thank you for listening to the John and Heidi Show. Sometimes it's kind of hard for guys out there because you're going, okay, do you want to be a traditional gentleman or is that going to offend somebody? Because I've had it happen before where I opened the door for a lady and she said, I can open my own door. So, it's tough these days to live in a society where you don't know what people want. Well, we've got a young man that has put a book out that's actually kind of a cool idea. The book is called Armor of Glass, and it's a novel, and it's based loosely on his life. And we have him on the line with us right now, R.M.A. Spears, joining us. Sir, how are you doing today?
Great. Thanks for having me.
Well, we're glad to have you. The book, Armor of Glass, it's a novel based loosely on your life. Now, this is a very interesting concept. You served 27 years in the military. Thank you so much for doing that, by the way.
Thank you.
And you're saying that being a man today is difficult but doable. So what is it that makes it difficult to be a man today?
Well, I wrote the book that encompasses the last 40 years, and in the last 40 years has been an upheaval in the women's roles in the workplace, and so adjusting to what arguably manhood is supposed to be from their perspective, if you will.
I see in here that you're saying, to be a traditional man nowadays, you might have some flack from people who are more of the, feminist side of society. And it's a tight balance that you want to play and a little bit of a struggle. So what is a good way for a person to do that?
Actually, I think the traditional man, I think they've come full circle, and the traditional man is exactly what they're looking for as he was. The thing about it is the generation coming up is losing touch with that and becoming embracing the feminine side too much.
Very nice. Now, what can women do to help make this a little easier?
Well, I think the best thing that they can do is to men are pretty easy in my opinion. Just give them the respect. He's got to have a job, and sex and food every so often would be nice as well. But, when it comes to mothers got to quit pampering their boys and let their boys get dirty and scratched and beat up, and they need to toughen up.
And so many times nowadays, you see this, and I don't think this is anything new, but, mama's little boy, she wants to take care of that little guy, and maybe they go a little too far, and that can be kind of damaging, can it?
Oh, I guess it can be, but there's always doctors around. I can remember my brother tripping me playing football in the backyard, and I jumped over his extended foot, and I ended up landing on my shoulder, smashing my collarbone. Went over to my mother, and she said, "Oh, that's all right. Sleep it off." And the next morning, I woke up with a football-sized, a watermelon-sized shoulder. I had crushed it. She hadn't known it. But that's the way she grew up on the farm, and that's the way I grew up, and it didn't hurt me in the long run.
There you go. And it could have very easily just been a minor thing, but in that case, it was a major thing, and you kind of walked it off, didn't you?
Well, that's right. I mean, kids are always looking for sympathy in the easy way out, just as young adults are. But no, they need to have it tougher, and they need to grow up and into it.
So now, what are some dating tips and marriage tips that you might have for young men and young women that would be listening?
Well, considering I've been married 3 times, I don't know if I'm really the best person to ask about that. But the women is the fact that men do not read minds. There needs to be a lot of open communication, a lot of open-mindedness, civil discussion back and forth. And as far as men treating women, they like to brag about who they are dating or married to. And so, when you celebrate a holiday, send roses to her at work so that she can make the other women jealous in the place she works at because her husband thought of her.
That's a great idea. Very good idea. And it's and that's something that, that's going to make her happy, and it's going to make you look good too.
That's right.
Again, visiting right now with an author of a book called Armor of Glass. Let's talk about the book now. The book is, how long has the book been out?
The re-release has been out since October.
Very nice. And it's been pretty well received, hasn't it?
Well, I did a free ebook download last week, and it was the top download in literary fiction sagas and in thrillers.
That's awesome.
Number 2 in thrillers.
That is fantastic. Congratulations on the success you're having there. The book is available. If somebody would like to purchase the book, where do they go to find a copy of this?
It's on Amazon.com.
Fantastic. And if you'd like to learn more about Mr. Spears, his website is R.M.A.Spears.com. And, sir, thank you again for taking the time to chat with us today.
Well, thank you very much. And if I could just say briefly, just think of the movie Officer and a Gentleman. Add 20 years, 20 pounds, 3 kids, an absent wife, and a bad civilian job when a seductive old friend reappears. That's what the book's about.
That's awesome. Very good. Now, would you like to see this become a movie someday as well?
I have been told it's better movie material than reading material.
Nice. If somebody called and said, we've got this offer, we want to do this, who would you like to see cast as the lead role in this? Is there somebody in your mind that would be the perfect fit for that?
Somebody with more hair than I've got. How about Ryan Gosling?
There you go. That would be a good one. Well, thank you again for taking the time. I know you're a busy guy. I appreciate you taking the time to chat. You have a wonderful day.
Thank you very much.
And again, if you'd like to know more, the book is available right now. It's called Armor of Glass. It's a novel, and it's available currently at Amazon. Also, learn more at R.M.A.Spears.com.
John and Heidi.
Many people go to college, but when they graduate, they've racked up a ton of debt. Not everyone, though. Matthew Einstone saved over $70,000 on a top-rate education. Then, after everyone wanted to know how he did it, he built a system to show you how to do it, too. Learn how you can use his system for yourself or for your kids. Go to freeeducationuniversity.com. Watch a few videos there for free. Sign up now and get a free 60-minute private consultation with Matthew. That's freeeducationuniversity.com. Use promo code radio20 to save 20%.
John and Heidi.
Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Americans fill in 54 acres worth of crossword puzzles every single day.
What?
We apparently don't have that much going on.
I
54
used to
acres.
do a crossword
You did.
every single day.
You haven't done that
I don't
in a while,
have
you?
time anymore.
Yeah, I know. Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
In ancient Athens, every third man worked with marble. Okay. I think what they meant is 1/3 of men worked with marble. I don't know. Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Still trying to figure that one out. Les Miserables, is that how you say it?
I don't.
By Victor Hugo, is the novel that contains the
Miserables.
longest... Is that how you say it? Miserables.
I don't know.
Les Miserables by Victor
I know
Hugo.
it's Les Mis.
Okay, hey, let's just pretend
Les
like...
Mis.
Everybody, forget what I said for the last 25 seconds. Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Les Mis by Victor Hugo, is the novel that contains the longest sentence in literature. Guess how long the sentence is?
I have no clue.
823 words.
Okay.
I think the period just wasn't working on his typewriter. That's what was going on there. That was a run-on sentence, kind of like this has been a run-on break. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show. A couple of fun facts for you there on a Monday.
John and Heidi.
This is Richard Lustig, the world's first and only 7-time lottery game grand prize winner. Since I endorsed Lottolicious, I have won something every single draw. They do all the work. You don't have to worry about running to the store to buy your tickets. They take care of all that. So if you're looking for the best way to play the lottery, to give yourself the best chance of winning, go to radiolottopool.com and join today. Again, that website is radiolottopool.com.
John and Heidi.
What is the secret to getting a solid 7 to 8 hours of sleep? First of all, one of the things I got to say, we talk a lot about sleep and chocolate and coffee on this program, don't we? Mm-hmm. Seems like I find a lot of things that have to do with those things, but sleep is the one that we're going to talk about today. 3
of my favorite things, by the way.
They're all good things. It says here, head for the kitchen and enjoy 1 or 2 of these 10 foods. They will help relax your tense muscles and quiet your buzzing mind, and they'll help you calm and get a little sleep-inducing hormones going on. So, you ready for these foods, Heidi?
I am.
Bananas.
Banana.
They're practically a sleeping pill in a peel. In addition to a bit of soothing melatonin, they also have serotonin. They also contain magnesium, a muscle relaxant. So that's why the monkeys are always chill.
They're really not.
Chamomile tea. The reason it's such a staple of bedtime tea blends is because it has a mild sedating effect. Warm milk. It's not a myth. They say it has some tryptophan, and that'll help you fall asleep a little quicker. Honey. They say if you drizzle a little honey in your warm milk or herbal tea, that's going to help as well. Potatoes.
I love potatoes.
A small baked potato won't overwhelm your GI tract, and it will help clear away acids that can interfere with yawning-inducing tryptophan. Oatmeal. I thought you had that for breakfast to help wake up, but apparently it's a rich source of sleep.
And bananas.
I know.
So that explains why I'm so sleepy every day.
That's the problem.
Of course, I don't eat oatmeal. But bananas, I was doing a banana every single day.
There you go.
I was like, I'm just not seeing the benefits.
Another one here. A handful of heart-healthy nuts can induce some snoozing as well.
I have said that since high school.
Oh, boy. Flaxseed says when life goes awry, feeling down, and you're supposed to sprinkle some tablespoons of flaxseed and put that on your bedtime oatmeal. Okay. Last 2 on here. If you're trying to fall asleep and you're trying to find the food to help you do it, whole wheat bread, they say, is one of them. And the last one on here is turkey, the most famous source of tryptophan. Mm-hmm. So there you go. A couple of things to know if you're trying to struggle to get to sleep.
John and Heidi.
Hey, it's John and Heidi inviting you to join us for a party in paradise.
This is a week-long event with 80s music from over a dozen awesome bands.
And 80s movie and TV icons like Anthony Michael Hall, Andrew McCarthy, and several others.
Get all the details at 80sinthesand.com.
Use promo code RADIO to get a $200 immediate refund per person.
We'll even get together to have some drinks with you.
Book your week-long 80s vacation now at 80sinthesand.com.
That's 80sinthesand.com.
This may be the quickest vacation ever, Heidi.
Okay.
A flight from Hawaii to Washington and back in less than 24 hours. It was a short trip to paradise for a 13-year-old boy. He flew from Washington to Hawaii and then back to Washington in less than a full day. The unidentified teen managed to charge the airline ticket online to his mother's credit card, got himself to the airport and aboard the flight to Maui, but his mom figured out where he was going at her expense. So Maui County officers met him on the arrival. The boy was booked on a return flight and was back home before midnight. The boy's mother realized her son was missing and checked their home computer, which showed he had ordered a plane ticket to Hawaii.
Wow.
His mother sentenced him to 2 years of yard work to cover the cost of the tickets. So, who paid for the flight home, I wonder? do you think? I suppose if it was a round trip.
Well, yeah. But
he's 13.
Oh.
That is crazy.
What a little idiot.
Yeah, not a good idea.
John and Heidi.
I thought this was kind of funny. This is from the internet. I read this on a Facebook page of a friend. It says, in a spy novel I just read, the hero hid a letter in a particular statue in Washington, D.C. And I was visiting D.C. and I thought, you know what? I think it'd be kind of fun to go check that. So on a whim, I decided to see if that statue really existed. And it did. And there's a small little niche that the author had described where he had slid this note. And I looked, and to my great surprise, there was this little niche there. And there was a cellophane wrapper inside. And there was a letter inside the wrapper. So I looked around to see if anybody was looking, and nobody was looking. So I thought, yeah, I got to check it out and see what's in there. After a moment's hesitation, I pulled the letter out. I opened the envelope, and I burst into laughter when I read, "Good book, wasn't it?"
No, funny.
I think that is awesome. That's a great idea.
That's a fantastic idea.
All right, coming up, we got more fun stuff on the way.
John and Heidi.
Many people go to college, but when they graduate, they've racked up a ton of debt. Not everyone, though. Matthew Einstein saved over $70,000 on a top-rate education. Then, after everyone wanted to know how he did it, he built a system to show you how to do it too. Learn how you can use this system for yourself or for your kids. Go to freeeducationuniversity.com. Sign up now and get a free 60-minute private consultation with Matthew. That's freeeducationuniversity.com. Use promo code RADIO20 to save 20%.
John and Heidi.
We try not to, take this program into the gutter here on this radio station, because we always try to keep it, nice and clean. But
You try to.
we try to. Heidi tries very hard. Sometimes I have to use a shock
I actually
collar to
show
make it-
great restraint
You do.
on this program. If
All the
people
time.
know me off
yeah.
the radio,
Oh yeah,
I am very restrained.
people who are fans of the show and then they friend Heidi on Facebook, and then they 15 minutes later unfriend Heidi on Facebook. They're like, "Whoa, that's not who I thought it was at all." No, she's just got a very wild Facebook account. It's kind of crazy over there. Anyway, back to this. We're not going to go in the gutter, but we are going to kind of sort of go in the sewer, maybe. Philadelphia police have arrested a man who stole a truckload of toilet paper. Yeah, the truck was stolen after the driver left the engine running to warm it up. Officers caught the thief using a satellite tracking system that was installed on the truck to pinpoint the location of the truck. 44-year-old man claims he was going to sell the 18,000 rolls of toilet paper on the streets. What does toilet paper go for on the streets these days, I wonder?
Probably. Well, I'm sure it's less than what it goes for in the stores, but
18,000 rolls?
awful lot of people on the streets that need toilet. I mean, if you think about it, that need toilet paper.
I just think it's funny. And no, I've got a joke that I heard a friend of mine that's a
And
comedian.
toilet paper is expensive.
Well, he was talking about how expensive toilet paper is at a gas station.
Crazy.
And he I'm not going to tell his joke because that wouldn't be nice, but it was funny. Anyway, I'm going to just move on. We've got some good news. I was going to tell it because it's very funny, but that wouldn't be nice, stealing
Okay.
Andy's joke. So
All right.
I'll tell you off the air. I just can't tell it on the air.
Okay.
'Cause that wouldn't be right, would it? Stealing some comedian's joke.
And I'm done talking about this. Let's
Okay.
move on.
You don't want to talk about toilet paper no more?
I don't want to talk about whatever you're talking about. Let's move on.
All
Let's
right.
finish this.
Are you okay?
I'm
over there?
good. We're done.
Seems as though you want to move on. All right, we've got some good news. That is on the way. And it's good news that we're moving on.
John and Heidi.
This portion of the John and Heidi Show is brought to you by the John and Heidi Show. That sounds kind of funny, but it's true. Go to your local radio station and ask them to start carrying the John and Heidi Show. Here's the best part. They can carry the show for free. They play a couple commercials, but it doesn't cost them anything every month. So if you know a radio station that could use a little bit of help, send them our way. Send them to johnandheidishow.com. Again, johnandheidishow.com. We would love to do a radio program in your community. Then you could listen to the podcast and listen to us on the radio.
John and Heidi.
We always try to wrap things up around here with some good news, and I've got some good news right here. 2 students find lockers covered in notes at a school, and the reason behind it could move you to tears. If there's a universal feeling that we all possess, it is that middle school is challenging. It's tough academically, physically, and socially. Now imagine if, in the midst of all of that, you had to deal with losing a parent as well. It would be almost too much to bear. Thankfully, middle school is also a time when things start to come together and we realize who we are. We realize that through all of these hardships, both real and perceived, the only certainty are our friendships. 2 students at Fremont Middle School in Indiana we're just reminded of all of that in a big way. The students recently suffered the loss of their mother. That would be awful.
Yeah.
Alicia Treat, 40, was in a car crash on March 13th. On the Monday after it happened, when they came into school for some attempted normalcy, what they got was a huge school-wide hug. Classmates, friends, and even strangers put Post-it notes of love and support and encouragement on the students' lockers. Isn't that nice?
That's wonderful.
To top to bottom, side to side, they were covered. And there's photos on our Facebook page where you can see that. And it's really, I think that is such a cool thing. And imagine how tough it would be for those kids losing their mother. And they got to come back to school. But what an amazing way to come back to school and be welcomed back with all those encouraging little notes. So if you'd like to read it, there's a lot more to the story. You can read all of it on our Facebook page because we don't have time to do it all here. But you can check it out at facebook.com/John and Heidi Show. Time to say goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, everybody. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Monday.